Games, Brains, Banging Life here with day 2 of the lockdown list. This is a list at daily where we will be recommending you a horror movie that you can check out while you're stuck at home, basically. Stay indoors, follow the medical advice, do not go out and travel unless you really need to. This can't be stressed enough. Everyone is saying it for good reason. The sooner you do this, the sooner we'll get through this, and the sooner we can all go out and enjoy the sunshine. Woke up today to the bad news that Download 2020, this Download Festival, has now been cancelled. It's not been postponed or going to be rescheduled. It's just outright been cancelled, and they'll be working towards 2021. Yeah, it's incredibly disappointing. Not surprising considering it's at the beginning of June. But this is increasingly beginning to look like festival season is cancelled. You know, we've got our fingers crossed that the later ones, the ones that occur at the end of July and in August, will be okay. The only way it's going to be okay, though, is if we get through this as quickly as possible. And to do that, we need you. Everyone needs you to do your part. So stay at home. Watch a horror movie. I hope you checked out The Night Eats the World in episode 1. We're now going to go to a different direction and a different streaming service, namely Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, where you can find a movie called The Tunnel. It was released in 2011. And for all those who regularly know what I feel about these types of movies, you might be surprised to hear me recommend a found footage horror. I know, what is the world coming to? I must be sick. No, in all seriousness, The Tunnel is one of the better found footage horror movies you'll see. One of the reasons why I really like it is that it actually plays out more like a documentary. This idea isn't anything new. It's a sort of mockumentary style documentary found footage, but The Tunnel does it really well. So much so that the opening 15 odd minutes, I'd say I was totally sold. I was watching a documentary because the basic story is. It's an Australian found footage horror, I should say as well, directed by Carlo Ledesma, and it stars Belle Delia, Andy Rodoridia, Steve Davis, Luke Arnold, and is set in abandoned railway tunnels of Sydney, Australia. The name is The Tunnel, after all. What it is basically the South Wales state government. There's a massive water shortage, and they think they've come up with a way to solve it, which is basically tapping into massive underground water reservoirs that exist trapped in the abandoned network of tunnels underneath the city. It's a grand idea, but causes a lot of uproar in the local population because the homeless tend to sleep down there and so on. This is the opening 10 to 15 minutes where we see it through news, reports, talking heads and so on. And then quietly and suddenly, the government just changes its mind and doesn't reveal why. And questions start to get asked. Then you get reports of homeless people going missing in the tunnels, which gets the interest of a particular journalist, which is Belle Delia, and she basically becomes convinced that the government found something down there, something they don't want people to know about, and is a reason why they've abandoned this idea. So, along with a very small team, she goes to investigate. Now, obviously, spoiler free, so we'll end it there. But the setup, while not exactly anything fresh or new, it basically is a group of people go somewhere where they're not supposed to and run into problems. What The Tunnel it does really well is atmosphere. Generally chilling atmosphere. This is a creepy movie. If you're not used to watching horror, it might even scare you. But even me, someone who boasts that you can't really creep me out, found my hairs on the back of the neck standing up a couple of times in this movie. It's got great imagery. It's well shot. Yes, it has a lot of the found footage problems that we associate with the genre, particularly in the latter parts of the movie, but is a little more forgivable because it builds so very well and consistently sticks to that documentary style. Although we follow these people into these tunnels with their cameras, we constantly cut back to talking heads, basically, discussing what was going on, what had happened, and so on. It's really well done. An absolute recommendation. It's available on Amazon Prime. You will need an Amazon Prime account for that. But if you've got one, well, you should do because of the wealth of horror that is available on Prime. Make sure you check this one out. Stay safe out there. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?